Okay, so going straight into treasure map, Sanji and Franky. This time around, using some very organic teams, characters that you may not have thought about using, and we're taking advantage of the fact that characters from the same evolution tree are counted as different units when it comes to using them in treasure map. By that I mean, in New World and Grand Line, you can only use a character one time. But if you use a character in a different evolution state, you can actually use them twice. Now this is important because, as you saw in the title, I'm running dupe drop teams. Now that's not just talking about the final boss and Intrusion where I have the batch so I get extra drops. I'm also talking about two of the mini boss teams where we are using a captain that allows us to get an extra drop at the end of the quest using the captain ability, of course. So first off, so I'll talk about that a bit later on. First, now we're gonna go through the Intrusion, which I am using one of the new legends, Roger Rayleigh Gaban V2. This character, when you hybrid up with the Rocks Pirates, so you could either have the Rocks Pirates and then hybrid up with Roger Rayleigh Gaban as a friend captain. Either one works, but just from this hybrid alone, the Intrusion and final boss is essentially completely handled. For both the final boss and Intrusion, I think there's only one other gimmick that you have to handle. For the Intrusion here, it's going to be paralysis on stage 2. On the final boss, it's attack down. So for this one, we are using our Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji from the part 1 of the anniversary. So, I mean, you could use anyone who reduces paralysis, but Intrusion is the most amount of points. It's even more than the final boss, so you don't want to really sacrifice your points. Luffy, Zoro, Sanji is the only high boosting unit that reduces paralysis. The only other option is to run 3 different support effects to reduce paralysis, or you could use the Whale Shark's ship alongside a few paralysis reducing supports. That could also work if you don't want to sacrifice your points. So that is an option. If you need that replacement, ask me in the comments. I'll see what there is available. But stage 2 here is literally just the Luffy, Zoro, Sanji. We can also use the special of, well, also Roger, Shiki, and Whitebeard. And I think that's it. We are going to be using those similar orbs because we do get a full board of poison orbs on the final stage. Luckily, similar orbs are unchangeable, so we can keep those matching orbs and just ignore the poison orbs. We can also ignore the venom effect and the bleed. We have enough HP to do that. And then our Roger captain is going to remove paralysis, or I mean special bind, and is also the chain coefficient reduction. Beyond that, you can use Kizaru for more chain buffs, but you don't really need him on the team. You can also use Vegapunk for an attack boost. You can't really see him on because the layout's blocking it. Sorry about that. But you really don't need the Vegapunk. And then at that point, unfortunately, the Rocks Pirates do not have type advantage. But as you can see, the damage is plentiful. Let's get into the mini boss teams, but let's just see how many extra drops we get. We should get at least, I think, 3, 4 extra drops. I think it's 2 per the legends. But the mini boss teams here, we are going to be using Nami and Karina. She's the big character, and of course most people will not have this character in their unevolved state, so these teams aren't really that accessible, but I'll meet you when we get into the mini bosses. Okay, so these teams actually use quite a bit of tech here. We are using a lot of different very useful characters. So on this team here, we are using Odin Toki to resist the bind to our captains in the final stage, and also give us a 3.5x attack and orb boost. Now this boss is Sai, of course, so our captain aces are going to be the main damage dealers. The enemy is also weak to fighters, which is an extra 2x damage for our aces. So having a 3.5x attack and orb boost, a 1x chain boost from our Kawamatsu special, and then also the weakness to fighters, meaning Ace gets an extra 2x damage. This team has a lot going for it. And then we also have Wano orbs from the Franky crewmate ability. Besides that, Akainu is just there for wave clear, but honestly you could also just use Ace's special, so Akainu is very irreplaceable. Honestly, I want to try a bit of a different variant here, but I'll do that in a separate video. But now this is pretty good and it's very fast. Honestly, I'm just tossing the layout so you guys can actually see the bottom right unit. I need to absolutely shrink that, you can't see anything. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, honestly Akainu is very useless since we can just use Ace to wave clear. For this variant, you actually don't even need Ace to be at level number break 3 or level number break 5. We get all of our cooldown from the anniversary ship, so we don't have to worry about having the extra turn of cooldown from having Ace completely maxed out. We don't even use Ace's special on the final stage. I mean, at later nav levels you could use it for a color affinity, but it's really unnecessary. As you can see, Ace does quite a bit of damage. Literally just hit a grate and we still got 65 million damage. Having the advantageous class effect buff from the enemy being weak to fighters is so important for damage. So whenever you're building teams, make sure that your attacking units have that advantage. Free 2x damage is such a massive help. But now we're up against Rogyuku, I think that's his name. This team is very basic. Bluegrass can be replaced by any dex driven character. I just ran them for extra points and because they are the highest statted dex driven character I have. The reason they have to be driven is because once again the enemy is weak to driven units, so it's a 2x extra damage for that unit. And since this is I think this is the most bland boss, the only thing is defense up, which is I think the most annoying enemy buff, because we can't use characters like Carrot or any character that allows us to ignore enemy defensive effects. Defense does not included in the list of the enemy buffs that can be ignored, so our only way to deal with this is to remove it or to set the enemy's defense to 0. We are doing the latter here with our what's his name, the Shandorian guy from Skypiea. He is a Pirate Rumble character. You can get him for like 10 Pirate Rumble tickets in the shop, so very easy character to get. 10 turn cooldown, straight up gives a conditional attack boost of 2x, which he procs himself with a enemy defense down to 0. Tesoro is a great character to give us a chain lock and wave clear on the stage 2. And then our Kuzan is great for giving us a attack and orb boost for the final stage. And then Hiyori for a full board of Wano orbs. You can replace her with anyone who gives you a full board of rainbow orbs or Wano orbs at the start of the quest. This is just to ignore the enemy's orb manipulation since they can't change Wano orbs. But once again, rainbow orbs can also work. So any of those Shirahoshi characters, the Int Halloween Shirahoshi or the Legend Sai Shirahoshi, even in her 6-star form, should work, giving you a full board of rainbow orbs. But let's get straight into the quest. Once again, we are using the anniversary ship. For this one, you do need to have your Kuzan with level number break 3 captain ability so that you get the 2x attack and orb boost. So as you saw on the previous team, there was absolutely no specials that we used on the final stage. So that was, I think, the fastest team yet, just because of how efficient it is to use Odin and Toki. Not Odin and Toki, just Toki Legend. Stage 1 we use Kuzan, very fast wave clear, and then stage 2 we have our Tesoro, who is a bit slower than Kinojo and Izo, but we are using them on another team, so Tesoro is still not a bad option. As you can see, we have so many buffs and amazing orbs just going into the final stage. We use Wiper, that's his name, and his special is quite fast, and then we can tap on our Bluegrass, of course starting off the chain for the 3.5x chain lock. So that's going to be it for this team. Unfortunately, the boss is so weak at this point, I can't even see how much damage the team deals since they didn't even allow me to tap on Bluegrass. But now we're actually starting to get into the 2 mini-boss teams where we're going to do the DUPE dropping. Now this is where the tech comes in. So I did pull Nami and Karina from one of the recent Sugo Fests, and I immediately saved them in the 5-star form. So we're using the 6-star form in the other quest, and then the 6-star form here, 5-star form here. We are using the special of Zoro for cooldown as well as wave clear. Kid-in-Law is one of the best free-to-play characters in this game. They special wave clear super fast and reliably, and then they also give you a chain boundary and a chain growth rate buff for 3 turns. They help so much. Amazing character in Treasure Map. We're using Sengoku to give our Kid-in-Law a 4x attack and orb boost, alongside a chain boundary from a Kid-in-Law special, and then the Wano orbs from Hiyori. We also have recovery orbs from the support ability of Hachi. Very important support ability, and it's very important that your units are arranged in this way. We need our Kid-in-Law to be in the middle row so that they get the Wano orbs from Hiyori's crewmate ability. This is a co-op Hiyori. Unfortunately, a lot of people probably won't have her, but her crewmate ability is so good. We can't use someone like Legend Hiyori to give a full board of 1 orbs, because we actually have 2 stacks of hunger in this quest, and we can't remove it with the hunger potential ability, because we get a I think the hardest debuff to remove in this game, which is the nullify potential ability debuff. We get this before the hunger stacks, so we can't remove it with potential abilities. The only way to remove this debuff is with Shirahoshi and Manchuri version 1 legend, who allows you to remove any icon debuff. I think also Oira Yamato, the int legend from last year, she also removes it. But the thing is, even after you remove it, the hunger potential abilities won't reactivate, so it's essentially impossible to remove hunger stacks, and it is not an icon debuff, so you can't even use Shirahoshi, Manchuri V1 or Oira Yamato to remove hunger stacks. I tried it before. It's not a turn-based debuff, so it's not removable with those characters. So we have no choice but to get 2 similar or 2 recovery orbs, and that is where Hachi comes into play, giving our captains recovery orbs alongside those Wano orbs, and that allows us to get around the hunger stacks. We also have a 1-turn barrier, which we are removing with Nami and Karina. So stage 1 we use Zoro, stage 2 Kid-in-Law. We need that turn of cooldown from Zoro's special to make sure that Nami and Karina is ready. Even with the anniversary ship, they need that last turn of cooldown. Final stage, we just use the Sengoku and apply the attack and orb boost to our Kid-in-Law, who has a 2x extra damage from the enemy being weak to cerebral characters. So the damage here is just ridiculous. We also get a chain boundary from Kid-in-Law and a chain growth rate buff, and then we use our our Nami special for paralysis reduction, enemy barrier reduction, and then activating the Hachi support for 2 recovery orbs. So you can see how this team works. Everyone has a crucial role, and everyone is perfectly. We have 1 of each type, so that allows our Sengoku special to work. You will see, I think this is the highest damage dealing team out of all of them yet. And then of course we do get the dupe drops. One thing you do need to make sure is that your captain is in the strength form. It doesn't matter what form your guest is in, so don't be meticulous about that. We have 1 of every type as long as your captain is set in the strength form. And of course we need them in a strength form anyways for the different special. If you have them in the quick form, Karina has an entirely different special. She won't remove the barrier or the paralysis, so it's very important that your captain is in strength form. Friend captain, as I said, does not matter. Okay, now we actually got the secret map, so we get a full cooldown, but you're gonna have to trust me that the Zoro special is important. Stage 2, of course, Kid-in-Law. As you can see, our motor row only has Wano orbs. A bunch of chain buffs from Kid-in-Law. The enemy is quick, so of course we have type advantage. The only thing we must on this team is a color affinity, but you could just use any support. Now it's very important that you use Sengoku first, tap Kid-in-Law, because he changes all of our orbs into tandem. If you use Nami first, then Sengoku will get rid of your recovery orbs. Use Nami captain, has to be your captain, because Hachi is on our captain, not our friend captain. Get our 2 recovery orbs. Tap on our characters to get rid of hunger stacks, and Kid-in-Law does a massive amount of damage. So I'm pretty happy with this team. And then of course we have the dupe drops. The only thing is that the captain is a bit weaker. Nami Karina only gives a 5x And look at that, you see what I mean? Duping is so important. You get a free extra tablets, and if you get crystal drops, it's a free extra crystal. I can't speak. A free extra crystals helps you a lot over time to get as many materials as possible. But as I was saying before, Nami Karina's captain ability is 4.5x if you don't have G orbs. So unfortunately, our kid-in-law with the 1 orb is not going to get the best captain ability from Nami and Karina, which is why our damage wasn't like above 100 million. It should be dealing about 80 million. As you saw, I hit a great tap there and I did about 63 million. Still not too bad. But for the final team, or final mini boss, is going to be for who's this now? Akainu. So Akainu is a quick mini boss. Zoro is essentially the only character we need here. The enemy has a buff that allows all of our orbs to be much weaker besides G. So you can see how Nami and Karina is very important. They provide G orbs with a super swap effect, which gets fully charged since it's only 5 swaps to fully charge the super swap ability. Stage 1, we'd use our Brook, but since we got our secret map once again, we don't need to use Brook. We can use our Kikunojo and Izo for a chain lock. Honestly, if you don't have that Zoro from the previous team, you could just use the 6-star form on that team. Because we weren't even using Nami and Karina's special here, so yeah, as you can see there, we have our Odin support giving us a 1.75x attack boost from a support ability. It's so good. Then we use Zoro for an orb boost, getting around the rewind, and then also inflicting the enemy with increased damage taken. So Zoro is very effective. You could also see how quickly his special activated. One of the best legends in the game for treasure map, if I'm being honest. He just got so much better. And then if you want to, you can also use Who's Who for color affinity, very quick as well. And then you also want to swap your friend captain Nami and Karina to give Zoro a G orb, but I forgot to do that there. Either way, I had one G orb anyways. But yeah, you should use that super swap. It gives you a base attack boost and also changes Zoro's orb into G, which is modified to a 2.25x beneficial effect with a buff that Nami and Karina gives with the super swap. Enough yapping. Bruh, my throat is finished. So that seems pretty good. I'm very happy with that. Of course, Zoro, I'm pretty sure, also has the advantageous class effect buff. Yep, Slasher. And then of course Zoro is also a boosted character, meaning his stats are modified even further. I'm pretty sure that team does 200 million damage with Zoro's tap alone. So I'm very happy with that. Now the final boss, we are using Vegapunk to remove the attack down. So, I mean, there are other options to remove attack down, just not well boosted. So, ask me for replacements. I'm pretty sure you can just literally just filter your box to attack down reducing units. There's some free-to-play unit that reduces attack down. Once again, here we are running the hybrid. It doesn't matter which one you have, just run a hybrid. You get everything dealt with. For both the final boss and the intrusion, there's damage reduction and threshold, which are both made obsolete with the captain abilities of these guys. Unfortunately, the only class or type that gets boosted by both of the captains is striker, meaning that most of the crew is not boosted. But honestly, it doesn't even really matter with how much damage the captains deal. So we do get, I think, hunger, yeah? No, that's the final stage. We have a bunch of chain debuffs. Enemy has threshold, which is completely removed or reduced to a 0% value with our captain of Roger and Rayleigh Gaban. Use thingy special for removing one of the chain, I think the chain maximum attack down. Also removing the enemy's damage null and also giving us an orb boost and a full board of matching orbs. Use Kizaru so you can get past the chain minimum attack down and then just kill. We are saving those similar orbs because we do get hunger stacks in the final stage. We do get stunned our bottom row on the final stage, but we just ignore it. So make sure whoever your attack down reducer is, that they are on the middle row. So we use Vegapunk attack boost as well, which is great. We can use Roger Rayleigh Gaban, because why not? Color affinity chain, multiplicative buff, and then our friend captain. I should probably first consume the similar orb and then kill. As you can see, our chain is ridiculous. A 6.6x chain. Mind you, the only chain buff we had there was the chain multiplicative buff from our Roger Really Good Bun. Absolutely insane. And then, of course, a bunch of extra dupe drops. Thank you guys for watching. Bye. It's not stopping. Make sure to like, subscribe.